So today we're going to use elimination to solve a system, and we're going to use multiplication for elimination. Now what I do is I look at what I've got up here, 5x and 6y, and I've got 2x and 3y. What I do is I figure out which variable I want to eliminate. I'd want to eliminate y because I've got a 6 and a 3. And I can multiply this whole bottom one by 2 and change that to a 6y. So I go ahead and do that. So you distribute the 2 out. That gives you 4x, 6y, and negative 10. Now we use what we learned yesterday in solving by using addition and subtraction. Would I add or subtract here?
Subtract.
I would subtract because these have the same sign. So I would subtract. 5 minus 4 is 1. 6 and 6 cancel each other out. Then negative 8 minus negative 10. Negative 8 minus negative 10 is positive 2. Now that I have x equals 2, what I got to do is I got to plug 2 in to one of these equations. So I'm going to plug 2 in there. So 10 plus 6y is equal to negative 8. Subtract 10 to both sides to figure out what y is. 6 equals negative 18. So I divide by 6. Y must be negative 3. So there's my ordered pair, 2, negative 3. 9r plus q equals 13 over 3r plus 2q equals negative 4. Which one do you want to eliminate? R or q? We can get rid of R, but I would rather get rid of Q. Easier. Because, look, if I want to get rid of R, what would I have to multiply this whole thing by? 3 to make it 9R. What would I have to multiply Q by to make it get rid of that? 2. So I'm going to go with 2. That gives me 18R plus 2Q is equal to 26. You have to multiply 2 by everything. Then we subtract. Because they're the same sign, we subtract. 3 minus 18 is negative 15. 2 minus 2 is out. Negative 4 minus 26 is negative 30. So I divide by negative 15. R must be 2. So I plug that in. I'm going to plug it into the top one. So 9 times 2 plus Q is 13. 18 plus Q is 13. So I subtract 18. Q must be negative 5. So there's my two numbers. Negative 5 and 2. Listen, I couldn't multiply this row or this row by something to eliminate anything. Because they're not the same. So instead what I got to do is I got to times both of them. Here's what you got to do. You got to decide which variable do I want to get rid of. And then you got to decide what I'm going to times it by to be able to do that. Which variable do you guys want to get rid of? Y? Okay. So what do we need to change y to? 6. So on the top one, I'm going to times by 3, and the bottom one, I'm going to times by 2. That gives me 12x plus 6y equals 24 on top. And the bottom one is 6x plus 6y is equal to 18. These are the same sign, so I have to subtract. Okay, this makes that negative, that would be negative, and that would be negative. So 12 minus 6 is 6x. These cancel. 24 minus 18 is 6. So x equals 1. What you got to do is plug that into one of the original equations. I like the top one. So 4 times 1 is 4. I'm going to subtract 4 to both sides. 2y is equal to 4, which y would be 2. So I've got to decide if I want to get rid of x or y. I want to get rid of x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to times the top by 2 and the bottom by 5 to make them both have 10x. Okay? Do I have to do that? No. If I want to get rid of y, I would times the top one by 5 and the bottom one by 3. Doesn't matter what I choose to do. Okay? You don't even have to times by 2 or 5. You could times by a bigger number than that. Okay? You could times the top one by 4 and the bottom one by 10 if you wanted. But you've got bigger numbers that you have to work with. I don't recommend that. Really, it doesn't matter what you multiply by as long as these become equal at some point. So 2 times 5 is 10x. That gives me 6y, and that gives me 12. 5 times 2 is 10x. Right? 5 times 5 is 25. And 5 times negative 10 is negative 50. Now, the book will sometimes say to times by negative 5 here. I just say you can subtract, which makes that negative, which makes this negative, which would make 50 positive. All right? So then they're lined up, so now we just add. Or in this case, subtract. 10 minus 10 cancels it out. Negative 6y minus 25y is negative 31y. And then 12 plus 50
62.
is 62. Should we divide by negative 31? Y is negative 1. Negative 2, sorry. Then I just plug that into an original equation. Doesn't matter which. I'm going to choose the top one. So 5x minus 3 times negative 2 equals 6. 3 times 2 is 6. So 5x plus 6 is equal to 6. Cancel that out. 5x equals 0. So when I divide by 5, x must be 0.
So
Here is your assignment.